And the worst possible start for Earl Thompson as well, as far as Jurgen Klopp is concerned, because it's bad enough not having Benteke or Danny Ings, but no Daniel Sturridge either today. So Divock Origi starts. He needs to be a miracle worker, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. First of all, Jeff, this is a sensational appointment. And it is...
How do you know? He's not been in charge of the game yet.
Be quiet. They have...
Well, it's true, but that's the atmosphere, you know.
Liverpool have pulled off a bit of a coup for this guy. To come to Liverpool, he has been nothing short of magnificent in all what he's done, all what he's said. Now you've got to walk the walk. He's talked the talk, now we've got to see what he can do. And you're quite right with the injuries there. Welcome to the Premier League, because this is what happens. But you've got to get used to this. And in fairness to him, he said, injuries, he says, it's all part and parcel, you've got to get on with it. And then he goes and loses Daniel Sturridge, which is just absolutely... But it happens with everybody, Jeff, and you've got to get on with it. But the club did very, very well to get this guy in.
Mert, what does he need to achieve this season for Liverpool?
I think top four. I think it's... Usually you come as a manager, Jeff, into a big club like this and it's a bit of a disaster. But you look, they're 3 points off fourth. They're still in the Capital One Cup. They haven't lost in the Europa yet. And they've still got the FA Cup to come. I mean... It's a good time to come in.
But they've won one of the last 6 Premier League games, and every win this season has been by the odd goal, and they've come against Stoke and Bournemouth and Aston Villa.
This is how hard this league is. It's a hard league, Jeff. I think if he gets top four, I think he's pulled up trees. I really do. I think he's pulled up trees if they get in the top four. You know, I'd sort of throw this game away today. I wouldn't take too much. I wouldn't take too much notice of this. I wouldn't judge him on today's game. Everybody's been away on international duty. He's probably had 2 days, you know. And the way that they play Dortmund, they play at a very, very high tempo. They sort of play the way Pochettino liked to play as well, you know. And then he went to Tottenham, and it took him a while to start getting the players that are going to squeeze you, are going to get up the pitch all together and get back all at the same time. Because if you get 7 players that are bombing forward and 3 of them are off the pace and they're not going as a team together, you get found out. And I think it'll take him a little bit of time to bring his own players in and to make sure that they play the way he plays. But today, I wouldn't judge him on today. No way.
See, Jeff, it's quite right. Anything else to have a little bit of a go about? Maybe defensively, where how many goals we've conceded or something like that.
No, not at the moment. But I was going to ask Tiss before you went any further. You know, Jamie Carragher, obviously we heard the clip there. Liverpool in danger of becoming the new Spurs. Aren't they already the new Spurs?
I think I know exactly what he's trying to say, because he's right. They've not really achieved what they should have done with the money that they spent. Both clubs spent a heck of a lot of money. And maybe not got as far up the league as they should have done with that spend. And the other point about you get a decent player coming through and one of the big boys comes and nick him. And he's right, they are both very similar in that respect.
Yeah. I mean, Tom, I meant that with no disrespect. It's just that obviously, like Spurs, it's a long time since Liverpool have, you know, challenged at the top of the table.
I do know, and I do understand.
Well, not challenged, obviously they challenged a couple of seasons ago, but won anything.
Listen, I thought when Jamie Carragher said that, and it was on the spur of the moment, it had just happened, Brendan leaving, he didn't have a lot of time to think about it. I thought he spoke very well, and he was quite precise in where we see ourselves fitting. And Tiz is quite right. The amount of money... We've done it in 2 transfer windows. Spurs did it in 1. We did it in 2. And they spent a lot of money on this guy to bring him in. So now they've got to maybe change the way they're doing things. Instead of buying 8 players for a lot of money and a lot of salary, is maybe 3 top class and paid him a lot more money.
And will he be the one who decides if those players come in?
I'm hoping he does. And as he said in his press conference, I'll have the first word and the last word. Anything in between, we can discuss. But he'll have the first. And I think that's the way it's got to be. It's all right having the last word, but if you're not having the first word and these people are being identified and they're putting them all to him, obviously it's not really your decisions.
I mean, do you think the most important thing, Charlie, is... And look, he's a wonderful character because we've seen him in the Champions League and he's a fantastically engaging and successful manager. Is the most important thing, though, Charlie, that he has the power to attract names to Liverpool Football Club that perhaps Brendan didn't have?
It's the essential key for me. It's all right him saying in the press conferences this week, Jeff, that I had the first say and the last say. Boards and owners can tell you that, but don't always stick to that conclusion because they think, well, I'll drag him along for the first 3-4 months. Whether this reputation of his is fantastic because it is a great signing, but, you know, Dortmund was a massive success story and then he's just filtered away, had a little bit of a rest. The thing is that he's wanted to come to Liverpool and he wants to solve the issues, but I think there's a lot of problems to be solved. But if he doesn't feel that he's in a meeting, Jeff, or he's identifying someone, let's say January, because I think he'll probably go for his defensive setup first in January, is to go after someone of significance and say, I want him, and you must now get him for me. Then, if the guys don't get him, what happens? Does he get upset with them? Does he demand even more out of them? Because it's all right, the club saying, we'll support you, we'll give them that. But they spent a lot of cash. This is the problem we had with Brendan in the summer. If Brendan should have went, it should have been in the summer. Let someone you come in and splash that cash. But they must support him wholeheartedly and don't camouflage anything. He has to run the rein like an old-fashioned British team does. And until they get their soul back under him, then nothing will change with this. Because I don't think the players that he's currently got are good enough for the top four.
And Jeff, he made some good purchases at Dortmund. It was his decision. Didn't pay a lot for some of them, made them into great players, got players on frees. So his identification seems to be good. So if he's done that, you have to trust in him. You have to trust in what he's done before. That's why you've paying the big salary for him. Let him have a free rein.
He says there's a need to feel stability, not the time at the moment to change many things. But if we look at the side today, he's had to make a couple of significant changes, and we mentioned no Daniel Sturridge today. So this is the way we think it could line up, though Coutinho could play further forward than Lallana, I would suspect. But as far as Divock Origi goes, his first Premier League start, he's played 16 minutes in the Premier League at the moment, and last season on loan at Lille scored 8 in 33, has had his detractors. By the way, what you can't see there is the substitutes bench for Liverpool today, which includes 19-year-old Conor Randall, whose experience includes one substitute appearance for Shrewsbury, nothing for Liverpool, and 19-year-old Jerome Sinclair, who has played 25 minutes of Premier League football.